if you don't produce, you can't distribute. And so, there must be something. But with the practice, with this belief, paranormal belief system in Africa, among our people, the reverse is the case. There are instances where a businessman will leave his shop and will move from one pastor or witch doctor to another in search of miracle, in search of magic, without practically doing anything to improve his business. It's not possible. Without practically doing anything to improve his business. Okay, this is purely paranormal belief. Some people go as far as engaging in ritual killings in order to get rich quick. For me, this is against practical reason. It's against what? Practical reason. To think of getting rich without doing anything. Just let me attend to something. Sorry, the Zoom, there is something went off, and so they need to reconnect so that those who are participating online can continue. The occultic phenomenon encourages fraud and laziness. It encourages fraud and laziness because when people are told that they can, get rich quick, effortlessly, without doing anything, they're just engaging in killing and all that. It does nothing but to encourage fraud and laziness. And the resultant effect is that hard work is slaughtered at the altar of paranormal beliefs and practices. And this is even against the Igbo philosophy, as Kano and I argue in one of our books. And my own mentor, who is here, also in one of his works, argued strongly that this type of belief affects work ethic. It affects work ethic negatively, as hard work, discipline, and consistency are no longer taken to be the surest avenue of success in human undertakings. You will not go, you will not engage in any apprenticeship. You will not go to work. While some of us are suffering, coming to lectures, you are just there. So every year, to get rich quick. It encourages fraud. It encourages laziness. It is antithetical to Igbo philosophy of life. My argument on this economic implication is that this system of belief has negatively affected the economic development of our society. And also, the idea of consistently blaming failure in business on evil spirits or witches and wizards should be critically reappraised. It should be critically reappraised. We look at the social implication of paranormal beliefs. With the current resurgence or renaissance, so to say, of traditional religious belief system in Nigeria, our youth, even including my village, have developed strong belief in information and counsel they get from witch doctors and diviners. People tend to get, to meet these diviners and go to be directed on almost everything in their life. We hear stories of families that have been put in serious, problem, divisions and here and there, because one pastor said, one diviner said, and it affects human relationship. It affects family relationship. It affects societal relationship. Some of the counsels they receive are practically against human reason. Most of them are not placed side by side. And as such, people, engage in series of fights. The major point I wish to emphasize is that the social life of the human person has been seriously damaged by this system of irrational and untraceable belief. So let me attend to this, so that those who are outside, some of our politicians, tend to believe that, or are meant to believe that they are untouchables, because now when one did that, now you can win election by belonging to a particular cause group. Now this can work. Now before you become a minister, a commissioner, a political appointee, you have to swear an oath to a particular oracle or this or that. Many paranormal practices. This actually destroys trust. It destroys, since that's the African cultural disease, African cultural belief system. And there are many things I can say in that regard. But I want to quickly just say something on these health implications and then go to the concluding reflections. I don't need to tell you that our people, as I said before, tend to believe that sicknesses are caused by evil spirits. And so instead of going to the medical, instead of going to the hospital for medical diagnosis, some of our people now tend to go to some spiritual homes, some babalawo, and all that. You see the person dying every day. My own take is that this type of belief system is seriously affecting the good health of our people. And I don't believe in causing darkness. I always tell my students, I don't believe in causing darkness. It's not about, there are darkness everywhere. Make effort, just light a candle. The rays from the candle can make all the difference. So, I want to say, Mr. Vice Chancellor, that you will agree with me that paranormal beliefs have seriously affected the sense of responsibility of our contemporary society. The sense of responsibility. Believers in paranormal no longer accept responsibility for their actions. They don't. It's either evil spirits, evil men, witches and wizards. Even when you are chewing or working, yes, they are there. That is the belief system for our people. People now seek religious or paranormal interpretations for everything. There is nothing that happens naturally. No. Death, failure, miscarriages, sickness, diseases, economic problems, all are given religious or paranormal interpretations. Wow. I make bold to say categorically that this type of attitude seriously undermines human rationality. It undermines the reason, the human reason. It undermines the understanding of philosophy as an activity in criticality. And let me quickly go to my concluding reflections. Here, I posited one theory that I've consistently argued and developed, and that theory is CIBD, critical inquiry before belief. The theory of critical inquiry before belief. I've argued this position in some of my books and very extensively in my recent book on philosophy. And I said, one thing that is existentially glaring, even to the blind, is that a normal human person must believe in something. I've said this before. A normal human person must believe in something. One can choose to believe in what is real or what is not real. So whether the existence of the paranormal is real or not, one thing we must observe is that a good number of our people believe in it, whether it is real or not. To say that paranormal beliefs will be totally eliminated, either in Africa or in any other part of the world, is simply a kind of daydreaming. I am not here to say that it will be eliminated tomorrow or today. But what do we do about the belief? How do we handle the paranormal belief system? It is a very serious disease that challenges our social, political, and economic developments. And so, as rational beings, African belief in the paranormal is not the best way to go. That is my position. That our approach, our understanding to the paranormals is not the best way to go. The reason is that it has negative implications. And so the best solution to negative effects of paranormal beliefs and practices is a proper application of human reason. And so, while putting on a humanist lens, I also put on the lens of metaphysics and epistemology. As I have argued, in some of my works. And today, I suppose is my day, and I am rounding up, and I hope to round up shortly. Inaugural lecture, my professor will agree with me, is the day of the inaugural lecturer. And Ejikemeuwa knows that very well, and want to kick into that, even though I will respect the view of my deputy vice chancellor. So I want to put on this lens of the metaphysics and epistemology and humanism. I submit that critical inquiry for belief is the best way to go in this ever-changing world. As rational beings, the basis of our beliefs must not be far from reason. It must not tend towards emotion or sentiments or what people say. It must not be far from reason. This explains my position of critical inquiry for belief. And this CIDB, is made manifest in the following the rules of reason. I won't go into that. It's there on the you have to book there. Following the rules of reason, there are 5 rules of reason. And one important thing about this, the summary of this rule of 5 rules of reason is that you have to properly and practically apply reason in interpreting or in evaluating things, evaluating nature, understanding nature, and everything around us. Okay, so my point is that there cannot be any genuine knowledge and socio-economic development in a society without a proper application of reason, without a proper application of CIDB. It is an existential fact that the culture of belief without inquiry has existed in Africa for a very long time. Our people have that culture of BWI, belief without inquiry. And so, past a Google, we don't even need to question. We don't even need to ask questions. That has been part of our culture. And I said, it is an essential fact that this belief without inquiry has existed with us for so many years. It is also a fact that this belief without inquiry has not done us any serious good. It has not done us any serious good. So the negativities are too numerous to mention. Therefore, as rational and intelligent beings, we must ask intelligent questions before we assent to any belief system. It is time for us, take and madam, to ask intelligent questions. Let it be that you have asked the question and then put you on what time? Yes, you have satisfied that philosophic desire, philosophic spirit. Mind you, even though you're not a professional philosopher, you are a philosopher, from what we call, a first order activity. I want to say that if we imbibe the culture of CIDB, it will go a long way towards reducing some of the irrational claims of some religious and paranormal believers. For sure, reality is not all about the empirical world. Yes. Okay? Let's get this correctly. Reality is not all about the empirical world, because some will tend to believe, to maybe criticize Ejikemeuwa from that perspective. I'm not saying that reality is all about the empirical world, but that we must make attempts to question any knowledge claim before accepting it as true knowledge. Not just accepting, we have to question critically from the point of view of reason. From the point of view of reason. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I am winding up now. Let me conclude this idea that since humanism in general is all about the good of human person, I wish to to strongly maintain equality for belief will certainly bring about socio-economic development to Africa in general and contemporary Nigerian society in particular. This is the focus of my thoughts and major researches over the years. And I hope to investigate further. After presenting this inaugural lecture, it does not mean that I have stopped my investigation and research on this. I have special passion. Because I grew up in an environment where every slightest thing is interpreted from the paranormal belief perspective. After presenting this, I'm still going to continue to research on this issue. So before I finally wind down this lecture, let me wind up this lecture. Let me quickly remind this respected audience, as stated earlier, as I argued, I told you something, what I did a lot. As I understand the notion of philosophy, that philosophy is an activity in criticality. Even if you didn't pick anything from this lecture today, you have to pick something. That philosophy is an activity in criticality. An unbiased inquiry into whatever is, insofar as it is. And I say, let critical reason prevail.
Standing ovation for Professor Ejikemeuwa Ndubisi. A resounding round of applause for him, please. It is not easy. It took him over an hour to do this. I'm sure I forced him to give up as a result of time. The man is not even ready to give up yet.
Let me crave the indulgence or the you may carry sit down. Just in 2 seconds. It is most appropriate at this point in time that I appreciate the trailblazer and the greatest of all vice chancellors in Tansian University, Professor Ejikemeuwa. Your constant motivation and encouragement spurred me to deliver this inaugural lecture today. Let me quickly recall, for the sake of proper records, Tansian University in May 2019, Tansian University could only boast of 2 standing indigenous professors, Reverend Father Professor Ejikemeuwa and Reverend Father Professor Anthony Ejikemeuwa can OSC. But today, within the span of 4 years in office, Tansian University can now boast of more than 12 reputable indigenous professors and sound stars. Posterity will always remember the numerous things that you have said is still enough for all you stand for in Tansian University. The big-heartedness and humanistic gesture of the father founder, late Monsignor Professor J.D. Akam, kept me going against all odds. It will interest you, some of you to know that I joined the Tansian University staff as a member, belonging as someone who wanted to become a priest. But at some point, for innocent is mine. At some point, I said that no, I'm not a paranormalist, but I foresaw that I'm going to be a Jimam or a Jimam, as you can see. So I said, no, I will not deny nature that. For the inaugural lecture committee, towards the success of what we are doing today, the chairman of the inaugural lecture committee and the deputy vice chancellor of our university, Professor Tansian, you are a man of your words. Your leadership style is one of a kind, and I appreciate you dearly. I remain ever grateful to my parents, Mr. Ndubisi and Nemura Susanna, for nurturing the humanistic traits in me. My most precious wife, Mrs. Jacinta Ejikemeuwa, and my wonderful children, Muna Chinso, Chinsulum, Chinebeze, Kesandra, and Kesaibe. They would have been here. But assuming if they were here, I wouldn't be able to deliver this. Because you'll be hearing that, here and there. I say it's better they stay. The person I called my mother today, she said she has to be here to witness this. My way from Nasarawa State to be here. And my own sister, Tamaka, I appreciate them for their lovely encouragement and always coming. Some people never believe he's not Ejikemeuwa. Secondary school, you wouldn't know the difference, but now he's in business and in local balance, he's eating money. And I'm here, so you see the difference. I'm never grateful to the order of St. Augustine. I will never forget the order of St. Augustine. And luckily enough, one of my classmates in the Augustinian order is here. Wilfred Egara, please kindly stand up, please. And the head of Augustinian order in Nigeria is here, Reverend Father Professor Ejikemeuwa. Oh, his father, brother. That I am today. Namely, Reverend Father Dr. Peter Oche Johnson, my BA supervisor. Reverend Father Professor Celestin Bebu Late, my MBA supervisor. Very Reverend Father Paul Christian Umar, my PhD supervisor. Very Reverend Father Dr. Samuel Nakarago, and my own special mentor, Reverend Father Professor J.O. Gwejopo. I appreciate your contributions and what you have put in me to make me the being that I am today. Professor Ejikemeuwa, I must mention something here about Ejikemeuwa. It was through Ejikemeuwa that I attended the first conference as a lecturer. During when I was my PhD, he encouraged me. You know, I was having that fear. I wrote my first abstract, presented to him. He read it, made corrections. I said, "You can do it." And funny enough, that was in Abuja. Funny enough, I don't know whether Abuja has known me there very well. In the conference, in the group that I was, the paper was on nature and function of logic in African Epistemology. After delivering that paper, Professor Okochukwu was in that group. And some other big men in philosophy. They started debating, and my paper triggered series and series of debate for more than 1 hour. Okochukwu was arguing, and I was just there, taking notes. And that really helped me. The first conference that I attended was prompted and motivated by Professor Ejikemeuwa, and I remain ever grateful to him. Without him, I don't think I would have been what I am today. I most sincerely appreciate the friendship of very Reverend Professor Ejikemeuwa. Since my days as an Augustinian till date, we are contemporaries and have remained friends till date. I equally extend my appreciation to my colleagues in the Department of Philosophy in particular and Tansian University in general for the conviviality that we share. My postgraduate students and undergraduate students, you people are very wonderful. You guys really deserve a million thanks. My immeasurable thanks go to all my friends and associates who contributed financially and morally towards the success of this inaugural lecture today. I have really discovered that it's not all about how much that you have. I have discovered that I am very much loved. If not for the moral support and financial support of my friends and associates, I don't think that this event will be the way it is today. That is what I have realized. Ejikemeuwa were a mother, and I've come to rediscover it through this inaugural lecture. Or in a special way, I thank you. It's not even showing your name. Please. Kindly know that you are very dear to my heart. And finally, I express my most profound gratitude to the being that holds my being in being. It is my strong belief that without his being, my being will cease to be. It is only in his being that my being can boast to be in being. This dependable and ever reliable being has continued to manifest himself in my life through various beings. And for avoidance of doubt, I still strongly believe in this being, even though I have never seen or thought his being. Thank you.
Professor Ejikemeuwa Ndubisi,
Ejikemeuwa. I'm proud of you. By powers of Senate conferred on me as the Vice Chancellor of Tansian University, I hereby decorate you as the third inaugural lecturer.
Take a picture yet, but just because of your status in the family, please feel free. Just only you alone.
My dear Prof, and the philosopher Paranormals, today you have shown the world what you are made of. The department is very proud of you. You just gave the world today a tip of what you have been giving to the department. And by that, making the school, the university, proud in a special way. We cannot thank you enough. And therefore, the Department of Philosophy, where you belong, where you are an outstanding lecturer, professor, and what you have, they decide to present this token, a memento to you, as a remembrance of what you did today. You have made us proud. Continue that way. Congratulations on behalf of the department.
I've also just been informed that upon Association of Philosophy
Come, you are blocking the camera.
Our National Association congratulates Professor Ejikemeuwa, Ndubisi, both as a member of our association and as an officer of that association. We didn't expect less from you, and we didn't receive less. So congratulations, you have made us proud today in Tansian University. Thank you.
Thank you for